As the candles flicker, a new tradition shines. 8 nights of Hanukkah, 8 nights of winning insights.
Like, they may come out slow, so you might be able to get a better number. Wow, they're favored.
With SportsGrid, every night is another chance to win.
No pick sixes today, they cover. So let's crunch it up. Let's make it happen. Let's give you our favorite props.
Let your Hanukkah winnings brighten your celebrations. Happy Hanukkah from all of us at SportsGrid.
How do you find some of this great talent that you've brought in, who are still early in their career, might not have a ton of tape on them yet?
I've been around this business, man, for almost 20 years. So a lot of these guys will tell you that I popped into a lot of gyms, sparred, or just worked on the side, or, kind of worked out, just watching. I've always loved this sport, man. I think it's the greatest. And we want to continue to put on the next up-and-coming superstars. We know we got them.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
As the candles flicker, a new tradition shines. 8 nights of Hanukkah, 8 nights of winning insight.
SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. The pimps, the players, the hustlers, the people of Bustler, but everybody else in between. The Friday Night Freak Show has begun. We've got a 120-minute full-court press. We've got a full house on the program tonight. We've got a lot of action going on this evening. A wild day of bowls continues in college football. We got a couple of track meets going on, and we have another football game coming up still in about a half hour's time. Texas Tech and Arkansas. It was an early track meet, starting to slow down right now because Texas Tech are stuck on 19. Meanwhile, Arkansas have 36. In-game total has just fallen to 64.5. 36-19 for Arkansas. A little under 12 minutes remaining. Still a lot of football left in this football game, but a devastating turnover for Texas Tech. They were marching the ball. They were down by 15. They were marching the ball, and they threw an interception basically on the goal line. It was a great drive, too, with no mistakes, and then boom. An interception was kind of a turning point in this game. Since then, Arkansas got another safety. There's been 2 safeties in this game. So 36-19 for the Hogs right now. They're laying 16.5 in-game at 64.5 right now. Texas Tech are 20-1 on the money line. Arkansas are minus 200 on the money line. Syracuse getting all that they can handle from a Washington State Cougar team that are getting 18 points tonight. Biggest point spread of the bowl season due to the mass exodus and departure of the Washington State football team. Not just players, but coaches, right? Washington State lost their head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach, running backs coach, quarterback, running back, all their wide receivers. I think 4 of their 5 offensive linemen. Listen, you got 22 starters, right? 11 of them left. Like, they literally lost like half of their starters amongst other players and their entire staff. So that's why they were getting 18 points tonight. But, don't look now. Suddenly they were punching back early, right? They scored first. Point spread went all the way down to 8.5 from the 18.5. And then it was 14-14. Finally, Syracuse is starting to pull away a little bit. And ironically enough, the point spread is 21.5 right now. So Syracuse are up 35-21 at the half. 56 points put up on the board. I've got an in-game bet on over 81.5 in this football game. In-game total is currently 86.5. We already hit the over of the Texas Tech-Arkansas game, but we are on Tech, so we're looking at a split there. But we have jumped in and chased the in-game overs of this football game, and it's starting to fall a little bit short right now. And in fact, it's plummeting all the way down to 62.5 right now. There's still 10 minutes left in this game, man, right? Like, you know, if we could just get a couple of more touchdowns, I've got a bunch of in-game plays. I'm hoping to hit one more of them. I got a 74.5, a 69.5, and a 67.5. I thought that the 67.5 was definitely in play with the 69.5, right? If we get two more touchdowns, we're right there. There's still 10 minutes left, but the problem is Arkansas really aren't trying to score now, and Texas Tech suddenly can't score. I'm surprised. Arkansas are punting the football on a 4th and 1 right now, despite the fact that they've racked up like 500-plus yards of offense, whatever it is. There should be more points in this game, like all things considering. There's been a couple of turnovers in opportunistic times close to the end zone. There's been problems for us. All right, so we've got Texas A&M and the USC Trojans coming up in about 25 minutes' time from Las Vegas. Great that we have one more game, late-night game tonight. I was at the USC Trojans season opener, and it started in the same stadium where it's ending tonight at Allegiant Stadium. The thing is, think about what a completely different football team the USC Trojans are now than they were when they beat LSU in the first game of the year. It's amazing, isn't it? After they beat LSU that night, there was a ton of optimism about the USC Trojans. Oh, the Trojans are back. Are they going to be in the playoff conversation? Big win. Miller Moss, big-time quarterback. Lincoln Riley beats an SEC team. All that doesn't matter now, does it very much? And here they are right now, underdogs against another SEC team in Texas A&M. Listen, the USC Trojans, Miller Moss is not there. They're the quarterback anymore. Miller Moss left. Where'd Miller Moss go? I think Louisville. It's hard to keep up with all these whatever. Like, I think he went to Louisville. So he's gone. They got the kid that was the quarterback at UNLV before, and he's played a bit at UNLV, but when you see him play at this level against this type of competition, it's sort of hit or miss. Like, he's still a raw quarterback. USC don't have any of their top skill position players, including Zachariah Branch, who split. Lincoln Riley's having a hard time holding this thing together. Meanwhile, Mike Elko had a good year. Let's put it in this context. You have a Texas A&M Aggie football team that was one win away from playing in the SEC Conference Championship against a USC Trojan football team that's basically like one win away from not making a bowl game. Like, these are, there's different levels here, in my opinion. I get it. A&M have disappointed in the past in some of these situations, but this is a different A&M team. They have a better defense. They got a better quarterback. They just, they have a lot of better of everything. Better team speed, better trajectory of their program right now as far as, right, the kids on A&M want to be there. USC's falling apart. So long story short, I think you can tell we are on the Texas A&M Aggies in this football game. I think the Aggies are going to win. I don't think it's a track meet, and we bet a lot of these overs, right? I'm on all these overs all the time, and here's a little flea flicker, see if it can come through. Intercepted again. This kid, every time he throws a pass on Texas Tech, he gets intercepted. There's a better chance of, like, pick sixes than him completing a pass. This is a hell of a return. Arkansas just intercepted the pass and returned it to, like, the 20-yard line. That actually kind of helps. Right, there's, like I said, this Hammond kid, man, every time he draws back the pass is getting picked off now. And he has to throw the ball because they're down. Hopefully, let's man, we need two more touchdowns here. Hopefully, Arkansas can punch in a fast one here. They're on, like, the 22-yard line right now. And then we'll have 8 minutes for another turnover, maybe a garbage touchdown. Still a lot of football left to be played. But as we were saying, and we like Texas A&M in this game. I don't think it's going to be a track meet because I think that I think the Texas A&M's defense, I think their defense is going to be able to slow USC down. Like I said, USC lost all their skill position players. And, one thing is a lot of teams can lose players and it's sort of next man up and it's fine. But it's a little bit different if you're a super stacked program and stuff. USC are not deep to begin with. They had a couple of good skill position players at the top, but once you start to dig in a little bit. But I will say, we had a first touchdown scorer prop with Amari Daniels. And we had it up on the board. We liked Amari Daniels, but this is the problem. And, man, we got late scratches here. We've got late scratches. Daniels is out. Daniels is out. He was supposed to play. He's not it's not a transfer portal deal. He's just actually injured and he can't play. Late scratch. Breaking news from literally 2 minutes ago. We'll stay on top of this on the other side. Let's roll. Bring it.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
Do we have a fantasy star on our hands here, George? Here is the question with Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders. A lot of folks went into the fantasy season saying, hey, look, maybe this isn't Anthony Richardson, but it could be the next best thing. I'm here to tell you, I don't know. I'm sort of feeling like Daniels could be better than Anthony Richardson.
I don't know if I'm going to go there yet, all right? But I think he's in the conversation, yeah. What did we hear at draft time? A lot of people wanted a quarterback who can move. Right? You don't want the guy who's going to take 5-7 steps and throw the football anymore because you want that additional rushing yards. You get 50, 60 yards, that's a touchdown. Right? That's why Josh Allen is so valuable. Lamar Jackson is so valuable. Right? You go up and down. Jalen Hurts. You go up and down here. I think Daniels is going to be a good quarterback. I think Washington got their guy, and he can throw the football too. We know McLaurin's a really good wide receiver. It may not be much else there. We'll see what McCaffrey can be. Luke McCaffrey can be there in time. But I do have hope for him. I think at season's end he's going to be a quarterback one. It may be a low end quarterback one, but a quarterback one nonetheless.
Yeah, I was really impressed watching him in that game. All right, now Anthony Richardson, look, he's going to have a big year. He's going to have a big fantasy year. There's no question about it. I don't know about the long-term viability here. And look, give him credit. He hung in there with the Houston Texans. My fear for him, George, is that when you go back and you watch film, if you protect the deep ball against Richardson, he could hurt you with his legs. And that may be where all of his fantasy value is coming from. I cannot see him throwing 2 70-yard bombs like he did again.
That should come in time, right? Practice time. I think he will get better here. I think Richardson's going to be fine. Does need to learn how to avoid hits. All right. Once again, that hit. Remember that hit from Tua last night? He initiated it. Slide. The rules are made for you not to get hit. Take advantage of them.
Let's roll. The Friday Night Freak Show has begun. We're locked and loaded tonight. We've got 2 football games going on. We got a full half coming up at the Holiday Bowl. We're winding down the Liberty Bowl right now, and I need points. This game has really, really hit the, stop. It did go over the original number barely, but it was really skyrocketing early. And in the second half, Texas Tech have been shut out. There's only been 12 points. There's been 2 safeties in this game. But there's been 12 points scored in the second half only. Like I said, Arkansas just intercepted Texas A&M again. And They're on like the 16-yard line right now. It's like a 3rd and 1. Come on, just pop it in for a touchdown. All right, they pick up like 6 or 7 yards. We're at the half. The second half should be starting in a couple of minutes. Washington State, we're getting a boatload of points. Everybody likes Syracuse. They ended up closing at 18. Hell, I was getting tweets from people in Pullman that told me they bet on Syracuse tonight. And Washington State got off to the 7-0 start. The point spread fell all the way to 8.5. People started to panic. It was 14-14. And Washington State, the crowd was getting into it, and it's a fun football game. But Syracuse are relentless right now. And Cal McCord and company have racked up 35 points on Washington State in the first half. It's 35-21. And just like that right now, Syracuse are minus 21.5-point favorites in this football game. Cam, I tried to talk myself into Washington State. I don't like laying points, but I ended up laying the points in this game. I'm surprised that Washington State have hung around as much as they have. But I also think that Syracuse are going to start to pull away here in the second half. They're up by 14 right now. I think they were caught off guard. They won't admit it, but they had to be a little bit overconfident against this Washington State team. The kids know the point spreads, bro. So they see their 18-point favorites. They know, they're like, damn, like nobody's even playing for them. This is going to be a fun, easy game for us. It wasn't, but I think Syracuse are dialed in now, and I think they're going to end up covering the point spread, ironically enough.
I agree with you, Gabe. And I'll tell you, Washington State, gritty effort with all these guys out, but now reality is setting in. I agree. I think Syracuse second half will be a play. You know what, Gabe? I'm on originally Arkansas. It's been a good day with the Dogs for me and Vanderbilt, but I'm with you. I need another touchdown in this game because I'm kind of like you today. I actually took a lot more totals, and I got the live total. I need another touchdown to win that bet, but I got greedy. I took Arkansas plus 14.5. It looked good for a while, but Texas Tech plus 14.5, but Arkansas is really taking control. You talked about it. Texas Tech's offense, no points in the second half. They're getting absolutely murdered.
Now, I understand punching the ball, but the kid on Texas Tech just punched the quarterback of Arkansas in the stomach, making like no effort at all to tackle him or the ball. He just hit him. He ended up getting hurt too. The quarterback didn't. The guy that actually did it did, ironically enough. He's limping off the field right now. We got a 2nd and goal coming up. There's 6.5 left. Yeah, I need 2 touchdowns in this game. Maybe, you know what? Maybe. You know, we've gotten a lot of luck late in these bowl games. Maybe, like I said, Arkansas is going to score here, so they're knocking on the door. And it's probably not, now they just pissed him off and they punched him, so he's really going to want to score now. So they'll punch this in, and then we need a garbage Texas Tech touchdown and or another turnover or something like that to happen. But we've got craziness going on. It's been a wild day of bowl games today. But we got some crazy stuff going on right now in the Canadian capital of Ottawa. I was tweeting about this game earlier, guys, and the Canadians tonight, Team Canada, not the Montreal Canadiens, but Team Canada were playing Latvia in the World Junior Hockey Championships. Canada ended up closing at minus 7.5 goal favorites in this game. They beat Latvia 10-0. Last year, although they had Macklin Celebrini on the team, and Celebrini scored 4 goals in that game against Latvia. They don't have Celebrini. And I can hear the excuses now coming from people like our boy Andrew McInnes. Well, Gabe, like how many great players are, could be on Team Canada right now, but they're not. Yes, you can say the same thing about the USA, right? They got dudes that are young studs in the NHL too. So, yeah, Canada's up against it right now, and I got to tell you, like, things are going to turn pretty freaking ugly in the Canadian media. These kids, and you know it, Cam, they're in a no-win situation, Team Canada, in this World Juniors, right? If you play Latvia, whatever, like, even I was angry after the first 10 minutes. I was like, you stupid little kids, you can't even beat, you should be up 4-0 already. Like, I was getting mad. I was raging. I was like, you're not even me. I was like, you're a disgrace to the jersey, you kids. Like, I'd be like stepping in, I'd be like, you guys are a disgrace to the proud jersey that is Team Canada. If I swear to God, I'd come in here. I regret putting all you little scumbags on the team. I'd like whip into them.
Scumbags.
It's bad. Look, I'm not even kidding. I just turned it there. There's a little girl crying in the stands, man. Like they haven't even lost. They're like, dude, it's like they're going to overtime at 2 right now. For people, this is like Alabama losing to Valparaiso or something in college football. Like this is like a D2 loss. Dude, they were 7.5 goal favorites. It was so big, there was no money line.
Gabe, I got to tell you, I'm actually on Latvia 7.5, 5.5, and 4.5. I'm a bad Canadian. But I'm going to tell you something. I didn't expect this. I expected a tight game. I'm not impressed with this team, though, as you talk about, and I don't know what to do. Remember it happened before we were on the air, and I remember when they played USA in a final, and they're doing interviews with holograms and stuff. The pressure that is on these kids before they go into this tournament is ridiculous. It's like great definition, great explanation. It's like Alabama football. It's every tournament. And now, Gabe, these countries are getting better. But I agree. This is a team you got to take care of business, even if you don't cover the spread. You got to beat Latvia like 5-1. Like you got to win by multiple goals. This is crazy. And if you know what? This game, if they tied and go to overtime, Gabe, I'm going to tell you, the pressure's all on Canada. These guys are freaking out. You said little girls are crying. Everything is about them, and then they're going to grip the sticks tight. This is bad news, bro. Like, this is crazy stuff. And Latvia wins, oh, God, what's going to happen?
Arkansas just kicked a field goal instead of getting the touchdown. 39-19 right now. They're up by 20 with 4:50 left. I still have an over 64.5 we can hit. I need one more touchdown.
Yep.
And the second half has started in San Diego with Syracuse and Washington State. Washington State at the football first. Joe Gibbs joins us next.
As the candles flicker, a new tradition shines. 8 nights of Hanukkah, 8 nights of winning insights.
Like they may come out slow, so you might be able to get a better number. Wow, they're favored.
With SportsGrid, every night is another chance to win.
No pick sixes today, they cover. So let's crunch it up. Let's make it happen. Let's give you our favorite props.
Let your Hanukkah winnings brighten your celebrations. Happy Hanukkah from all of us at SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
You don't want them to go 13-0 and then lose the first round of the playoffs.
Red.
This is their last shot. They don't really have anywhere else to go yet.
Hot take.
By the time I hit, I guess what, Route 33 up here, that ticket's cashing.
Only on SportsGrid. In the heart of winter, when nights grow long, we come together under these lights. A team, united by purpose. Fans, bound by passion. Each holding a small flicker of hope in their hands. At SportsGrid, we believe that even the darkest nights can't dim the unity we share. One team, one stadium, one shining moment. This holiday season, we shine brighter together. Happy Hanukkah from all of us at SportsGrid.
Let's roll. The Friday Night Free Show continues. This is SportsRage. I'm Morency, Sirius XM Channel 159, SportsGrid Radio and Television Network. Second half has started. Syracuse and Washington State. We got a track meet. They put up 56 points in the first quarter. 39-19 for Arkansas right now. It's a blowout, but everything always counts for something, especially for the in-game bettors. Texas Tech are actually moving the ball again. but this is like, it's a big tease because they do this often, and then bad things happen. It's taken them like a minute, and they're on the 15-yard line. We'll see if they can punch this in and finish this thing off, and maybe we can get some late craziness. We had late craziness in the Georgia Tech game as far as the total was concerned. Canada and Latvia are tied at 2 in overtime in the World Junior Championships. And the crowd shots are awesome. There was just one girl that was just like, Canada just nearly scored. I thought this girl was going to fall down the stairs. Like, she was so angry that they didn't score. It should be noted, Canada now have 56 shots on goal to Latvia's 21. The Latvian goalie is the reason why it's 2-2 and we're in overtime right now. But it's super entertaining. And, God, Latvia nearly just scored. All right, but we've got a massive weekend of football. Just for the record, quickly, we like Texas A&M minus the points. I like it better at -3. It's up to 3.5 now, but I think A&M's going to end up winning the game by 10 or more. And we got a triple header of NFL football tomorrow. Let's bring in our guy, NFL Ref Stats 1 on Twitter, Joe Gibbs, in the house. Joe, always a pleasure. How you doing tonight?
Good, guys. Good. I saw a ton of USC fans down by the Strip today, down here in Vegas.
Yeah, they're always there. There's going to be a good representation. Did you see many A&M fans? Because I figured there's going to be a more. No, you didn't see
none.
USC fans.
I mean, I'm sure there's some there. I didn't see any though. No, ton of USC people though.
USC though, like I said, he's like the other day. I went to the LSU USC game earlier in the year and in Vegas, and there were a ton of LSU fans. They were super loud. They lost. Like, same with Tennessee. Tennessee fans took over Ohio State. Like, so for all their singing and traveling and all that, it doesn't really affect the football games. But just quickly on that, Joe, you look at USC without all their top wide receivers. Riley's having a hard time recruiting players right now. To me, this program is going backwards, not upwards. And on the other side of the coin, we're talking about a Texas A&M team that was one win away from playing in the SEC Conference Championship game. Like, this should kind of be a mismatch tonight. Not to mention USC, all their wide receivers left. Branch is like one of their best players. He's not playing. You've got a raw quarterback in Maiva here. I think it's a bad matchup tonight for USC. I think A&M are going to have a fun game tonight against Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, if they're motivated, absolutely.
As we're kicking off in like 5-7 minutes. What's going on actually here? And with
touchdown Texas Tech, Gabe. So we're close. We're down 13 right now. 3 minutes to go. So let's get some.
There's
more
the
points.
onside kick. Back. They don't get the onside kick. They try the onside kick. They don't get it. 39-26. We're up to 65, and I believe I had a 64.5 too. So all things considering, I guess we'll take it and sort of move on. 36-29 right now, 2:57 left. Maybe we can squeeze one more touchdown out of this on the way out. And as we stated, you got A&M coming up here in a couple of minutes in Las Vegas. All right, so we got Joe Gibbs in the house and NFL Ref Stats. I retweet his stuff often. And we got some telling information for the games tomorrow. First game up is the Patriots and the Chargers. A game that, listen, I'm not going to lie and pretend I was overly excited about, but from a betting perspective, I'm starting to buy in on this game a little bit. And John Hussey, our boy Hussey, is going to be the official of this game. Since 2016, home teams are an NFL best, 88-50-6 against the spread. 64% cover rate for the home team when John Hussey's the referee, including 9-3-1 against the spread in 2024, Joe. And, the Chargers are so beat up. I'm actually thinking the Patriots could be a live dog here. As we saw, they showed some life against the Bills last week.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing hard. They just don't seem to be able to finish games. They're getting 4.5 points tomorrow. I'm kind of seeing what you see. Close game. Patriots sort of screwed up at the end, but the Chargers find a way to win, 24-20, 23-20, something like that. But Hussey's a great home field advantage referee. If you just bet him every week for the last 6 years, you're way ahead.
That's unbelievable. 64% win clip. All right, more with Joe on the other side.
As the candles flicker, a new tradition shines. 8 nights of Hanukkah, 8 nights of winning insights.
Like, they may come out slow, so you might be able to get a better number. Wow, they're favored.
With SportsGrid, every night is another chance to win.
No pick sixes today. They cover.
So let's crunch it up. Let's make it happen. Let's give you our favorite props.
Let your Hanukkah winnings brighten your celebrations. Happy Hanukkah from all of us at SportsGrid.
How do you find some of this great talent that you've brought in, who are still early in their career, might not have a ton of tape on them yet?
I've been around this business, man, for almost 20 years. So a lot of these guys will tell you that I popped into a lot of gyms, sparred, or just worked on the side, or kind of worked out, just watching. I've always loved this sport, man. I think it's the greatest, and we want to continue to put on the next up-and-coming superstars. We know we got them.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Let's roll. This is SportsRage. I am Morency. Man, we got a lot of stuff going on for a Friday night tonight. This hockey game is lit. Big-time drama in Ottawa, Canada. I don't know, like there must have been a money line somewhere, like minus 400 or something like that. This actually would be one of the biggest upsets in sport history. I know the term gets tossed around loosely, but 7.5 is unheard of. To put in context, the USA were favored by 6.5 goals against Germany yesterday, and they won 10-4, right? So Canada were like 7.5 here. Another good example is Sweden today played Kazakhstan, and Sweden were minus 5.5, and Sweden won 9-1, man. Right? Like this is a massive, massive failure from the Canadians, and it looks like we're going to a shootout, actually. So we got some big-time drama here.
Oh, God.
Yeah, we're going to a shootout. And I got big drama because I got money on. I need one more touchdown. I need one more just one more. Give me one more in this Arkansas. There's one more in this Arkansas game. All right, so we got Joe Gibbs in the house with us. So what are your thoughts actually on the football game tomorrow, Joe? As you stated, you got 24-20 for the Chargers. I think that's sort of a ballpark figure. I could see the Patriots playing well. Drake May's a good young quarterback, right? I mean, the kid's good. He doesn't, he's going to be a good quarterback in this league. We saw that last week against the Buffalo Bills. He won't they won't tap out here. I could see them losing a heartbreaker type of football game. So I am on the Patriots, Cam, in this game. Joe's got it 24-20. What's your pick, Cam?
Yeah, I'm leaning Chargers, Gabe, but very close to the number 2 to win between like 4 and 7. I think they'll win by maybe a touchdown, but I can totally understand it. They played the Bills tough, and as you mentioned, nice, tough divisional game. Buffalo came on at the end, but New England's been playing well, and I totally agree with you. I think Drake May's actually going to be very good. You give this guy protection, he's going to slice you up. I really like his progress this year. Bright future in New England, but I think the Chargers game by a touchdown, but I don't love the game.
All right, Adrian Hill is the referee. And this Adrian Hill-led crew ranks number 3 in offensive holding, number 1 roughing the passer, or number 4 defensive pass interference, which will be keys on Saturday, says Joe. What about Adrian Hill, and how does he affect this football game with the Bengals and the Broncos, Joe?
Well, I can tell you another thing about Adrian Hill. He has the honor of the first ever hip drop tackle penalty called in the NFL. He did it last weekend with Carolina and Arizona. That's big point of emphasis this season with the NFL was this hip drop tackle. They went above and beyond in the offseason, and they've never called it until last weekend. Adrian Hill called the first one. But as far as it pertains to this game, I mean, everybody seems to like Denver on this one, so I'm kind of going against the tide here. I like Cincinnati. I mean, they've been running hot. They're a top 5 beneficiary of automatic first downs via penalty, and you don't hear about that a lot. You hear about penalties against a team, how many they commit, but you never hear about how many they actually get as a beneficiary. The Bengals are right up there. The Bengals, the Vikings, the Rams, these teams with good wide receivers and good offensive schemes, good quarterbacks, they are picking up big chunks of yardage and free first downs along the way via penalty. The Bengals are one of the best at it. Broncos defense does commit a lot of penalties on the defensive back end. So I like Cincinnati tomorrow.
I agree with you, and I like everything you're talking about too. The Packers are another one. They're the beneficiary of a lot of pass interference penalties and defensive holding penalties, and you don't really have a choice. You got T. Higgins, you got Jamar Chase here, so I can see it happening. So with the Bengals with Burrow are 4-2-1 straight up, 5-2 against the spread with Hill. The one loss, Burrow was injured in that football game, and we got a nightcap here, guys. And here's another one that I think is going to be closer than a lot of people think. The Cardinals are playing with house money. They got nothing to lose in this football game, so they could just take some chances and have fun. Although they are, their offensive line is beat up in this contest. Yes. As far as the officials are concerned, yeah, they could be without maybe 3 starting offensive linemen in this game. But Brad Rogers is the official. Divisional home teams 19-14 against the spread with referee Brad Rogers. Rogers 20-13 to the over in these divisional matchups, including 3-2 this year. The Rams offense surging and a beneficiary of defensive pass penalties. Talk to me about this crew here and how it affects Saturday night's game.
Okay, so this crew, number 1 for defensive pass interference penalties in the league, and the number 1 average per penalty as far as yardage gained. So this crew is they're not scared to throw those flags. You've got this Rams team that's absolutely surging. They will throw it down the field. An Arizona defensive secondary that's susceptible to defensive pass interference penalties, and this crew calling the game. Rams have a good record with Brad Rogers. I'm on the opposite side here to you, Gabe. I like the Rams a lot in this one, a lot.
I've been riding the Rams on a weekly basis, pretty much. Yeah. I haven't pulled the trigger on the Cards yet, but I'm sort of, like I said, I can sort of see this being a 27-23 type of game. I know you've got it as more of a blowout, Joe, but and this is so frustrating. Arkansas are taking a knee on the 10-yard line. They could have scored one more time.
Of course. You bring up a good point, though, Gabe. Divisional rivals, house money, Arizona. It's a lot of points. I think the Rams could win this game, but I kind of like Arizona to cover. But you guys bring up very, very important points about the Cardinals' offensive line that is ravaged. That could be a big problem, but I think it'll be a tight game.
Yeah. The offensive line's an issue for them to begin with. They're one of the most penalized teams for offensive holding as it stands. Mm-hmm. So you take out Paris Johnson and a couple of other guys. You got that Jared Verse pinning his ears back on a fast track. I mean, I don't trust the Cardinals. They're a team I don't trust. There's no leadership on the team. Kyler Murray, if they get behind early, he kind of starts to mope. I like the Rams a lot tomorrow night, but I could be wrong.
It's all or nothing with the Cards, and it's more nothing than all, actually, right? It's like they're good once every 3 weeks. This shootout, guys, I don't know.
They played well.
What the hell's going on? This shootout right now, well, that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? They're an unpredictable team, so I get it. All right, has no one scored in 6 attempts? No one can score.
Nerves.
This goalie, the goalies are putting on a clinic. Canada are 0 for 7 right now in the penalty shots. And Latvia are 0 for 6. This is wild. And I'm watching it right now. That was the Latvia goalie, whoever this kid is, I don't know who's drafted him or who's he's property of already, but this kid's making a name for himself. I'll tell you that right now. Here's Latvia now. I would have stopped that. That was a pretty weak attempt. All right, so back with Joe here. Joe, speaking of the Packers, we've only got about 2 minutes here with you too. Big game with the Vikings and the Packers. And then there's the Sunday nighter that I'm really looking forward to. Alex Kemp is the crew, and this is a wild number. Favorites are 13-1 straight up and 11-2-1 against the spread when Alex Kemp is the referee, and he's the referee Sunday night in the Washington-Atlanta game, Joe.
Yeah, I've been keeping track of that all season. At one point, he was 10-1, and I'm like, it's not going to continue. But it's just kept going. So, I mean, it's kind of random. I mean, it's just one of those things. Every year there's a referee like that, and he's the one this year. But I tell you, his crew, long term, they call a lot of defensive penalties, defensive pass interference, illegal contact, defensive holding. This season, they lead the league in defensive holding, and they rank second for offensive holding. So they say you can call holding every play. These guys are doing their best to fulfill that. But it's going to be a great game. Penix adds a whole wild card dimension to it because he can go vertical. Okay? Cousins couldn't do that. And Penix, he didn't have to do much last week because they didn't ask him to. They were ahead. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
This crew ranks 15 out of 17th of crews for false starts. The Baltimore Ravens would love this. The Chiefs.
Yeah, the Chiefs. The right tackle's off every time. The guy's always early.
He moves all the time, that guy.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Joe, you can find Joe on NFL Ref Stats 1 on Twitter X. NFL Ref Stats 1 on Twitter X. Thanks, Joe. Always a pleasure.
Thanks, Joe.
As the candles flicker, a new tradition shines. 8 nights of Hanukkah, 8 nights of winning insights.
They may come out slow, so you might be able to get a better number. Wow, they're favored.
With SportsGrid, every night is another chance to win.
No pick sixes today, they cover. So let's crunch it up. Let's make it happen. Let's give you our favorite props.
Let your Hanukkah winnings brighten your celebrations. Happy Hanukkah from all of us at SportsGrid.
How do you find some of this great talent that you've brought in, who are still early in their career, might not have a ton of tape on them yet?
I've been around this business, man, for almost 20 years. So a lot of these guys will tell you that I popped into a lot of gyms, sparred, or just worked on the side, or, kind of worked out, just watching. I've always loved this sport, man. I think it's the greatest. And we want to continue to put on the next up-and-coming superstars. We know we got them.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Morency. Well, we just literally had one of the biggest upsets. This is like Miracle on Ice stuff. Except actually, you know what? The U.S. weren't 7.5 goal underdogs against the Russians. This is a bigger upset. But these Latvian kids just beat a bunch of NHL, like top, 5 draft picks and number 1 picks in the draft and all that. 3-2. Like I said, it should be no to Canada. I'd like to see the final goal, shots on goal tally. Last I saw, it was like 58-21, which is like unheard of. Like literally, the Latvian goalie just stole this game. and has left the Canadian fans in shock, left kids in tears, left dudes with empty pockets, and left the FanDuel Sportsbook in Ontario a lot of money because everyone just got roped in. And Latvia beats them outright. And Lou loves it. Nothing against Canada, but Lou just loves when he hears massive upset, Lou. Minus 7.5 Canada goal favorites. They lose 3-2 to Latvia.
It was Justin Trudeau. Blame it on him.
Amazing. Yeah, he gets blamed. People will stay away from this, but that's the gist of it. It wasn't cold like this in Canada before, Trudeau. It's like, I was never cold in Canada, right? Somehow this will...
Amazing. Oh, this is the best.
I see that. The modern... how come we don't do anything about homeless? It's like, suddenly you guys care about homeless. There's only homeless people just suddenly started.
Canada coaches game. They look like they're going to have a coronary. Like these guys are like the death stares. Like I don't even know what's going to happen after this. Lou, this is literally like I can't even.
I demand that they remove all federal funding from this hockey program immediately.
See, asshole, you're done. Do it on yourself.
Wow.
Tim Hortons. Yeah, you're done.
All kidding aside, lock it in.
Goals. I'll give the 7.5 goals in Canada's next game.
Yeah, well, they're going to be in a bad mood. You're right. But all kidding aside, the USA are going to win this tournament. They're locked and loaded. They're ready to go. And speaking of which, Texas A&M and USC are off and running. We got Lou in the house, and Lou's been on fire on Twitter this week. A lot of hot takes, Lou.
Yeah.
I've noticed hot takes going after the NBA. Betting takes. You're giving horse winners at Santa Anita. You've been on fire in the holiday season, Lou, online.
Well, Gabriel, unfortunately for me, Christmas Eve night at church, I went down with some kind of a head cough thing. And today's the first day I've been up and moving around. And so I got on the Twitter. I looked at Twitter after Christmas, and I was so happy that we didn't have to survive not one, but two, but three, 5 freaking NBA games. Are you kidding me? And so people that have followed me on Twitter know my take. I'm not an NBA fan. And I was on fire. I was going after anything that moved. Really, I was just all penned up after being in bed for 2.5 freaking days.
It was awesome.
I like it. You were Lou Unleashed. Lou Unleashed. So, Texas A&M are moving to football to start this football game right now, just right off the top. But one thing about the NFL, the primetime games have been horrible the last week or so. And I know because I'm on the air for all of them. And we've had one dud after another. Last night was absolute, torture with the Chicago Bears and the Seattle Seahawks. The Sunday nighter should be fun with the Commanders and the Falcons. But looking at tomorrow's games, Lou, any interest on your behalf of the Chargers and the Patriots? It's not a beauty pageant, this one. But you're a big underdog batter. I actually think the Patriots are a live dog in this game. The Chargers have 1 million injuries. You're going to the East Coast. The Patriots, Drake May keeps on getting better every week. We saw them last week again. I'm not a what happened last week bet type of guy, but they're still playing hard. They haven't quit on the season. Yeah. And they're not going to, this is a home game for them that they're going to view. They're playing the Bills the following week. So this is kind of a game that they're going to show up to the park thinking, we can win this game against the Chargers. Plus, Harbaugh plays it so close to the vest to begin with. Harbaugh will be happy to win this game 13-12 if he could, Lou and Cam. Any opinion on the Charger game, Lou?
Very little. And boy, I'd sure like to add something intelligent, but you really covered it all. The thing is you got a trip for the Chargers. I almost called them San Diego. You got a trip for the Chargers across the country, early time slot on a Saturday. So there's a bunch of situational circumstances that are really not favoring the Chargers. But the coup de resistance, I think, is that both these guys would love to walk off the field winners 11-9. And so for that reason, I would lean to the under. That's not a game I'm looking at. I really am trying to find at this time of the year 2 teams that are playing for everything, because the team that needs it against the team that doesn't, those there's a tax baked into those lines, and the public doesn't see those. They don't always go the way that the team that needs it to go. So I'm looking.
Well, you know the saying, Lou. The saying is, if you need it this late in the season, you're not a great team.
Yeah,
right?
There's something to that,
right? Yeah. Not all instances. You know what I mean? Some teams fighting for top seeds and stuff, but like that whole the team needs it. I think sometimes teams playing with house money and without stress. Look at the Cowboys. The Cowboys are a good example. Once the Cowboys season was over, they started winning games. There's no more pressure on them anymore. They're just sort of going out there and having fun. But leads us into that Bengals and Broncos game. And this is the definition of a team that needs it in the Cincinnati Bengals. And you have the Denver Broncos that are trying to get back in the winner's circle here and tighten things up. Playoff seeding moving forward here, Lou. This is an interesting game. I've heard a lot of people like the Bengals. You had a lot of people like the Broncos here. I've heard both sides. And I believe you like the underdog in this one.
I do. I like Denver because this time of year I like defense. And I'm getting defense with Denver. I'm getting a young quarterback that's now a full season under his head coach, and a Cincinnati team fired up on offense, missing T. Higgins probably, and they can't stop a sneeze on defense.
Cam, are you on board with Lou and the Denver Broncos?
Right, I am. I love the Denver Broncos this week, Gabe. I think they win outright.
I like the over 50 in that game.
As the candles flicker, a new tradition shines. 8 nights of Hanukkah, 8 nights of winning insights.
They may come out slow, so you might be able to get a better number. Wow, they're favored.
With SportsGrid, every night is another chance to win.
No pick sixes today, they cover. So let's crunch it up. Let's make it happen. Let's give you our favorite props.
Let your Hanukkah winnings brighten your celebrations. Happy Hanukkah from all of us at SportsGrid.
How do you find some of this great talent that you've brought in, who are still early in their career, might not have a ton of tape on them yet?
I've been around this business, man, for almost 20 years. So a lot of these guys will tell you that I popped into a lot of gyms, sparred or just worked on the side or, kind of worked out, just watching. I've always loved this sport, man. I think it's the greatest. And we want to continue to put on the next up-and-coming superstars. We know we got them.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
This is Sports Rage. I am Gabriel Morency. The Texas A&M Aggies marched down the field and scored an early touchdown. Well, not that early. There's 6.5 minutes left in the first quarter, but they ate up a lot of clock, and they do punch it in 6-0 extra point pending for the Aggies. As we stated before, I think it's going to be a long night for the USC Trojans tonight at Allegiant Stadium in Vegas. You just have two programs going in different directions right now. Elko's, but like I said, you simplify things. You have a Texas A&M team that 2 weeks ago played basically, they were 1 win away from being in the SEC Conference Championship game. The USC Trojans were basically 1 win away from not making a bowl game, right? Like they're just completely, this is one of those sort of little mini mismatches. And I hate to admit it, but my Michigan Wolverines are walking into one of these little mini mismatches against Alabama on Tuesday. And I'd love to say, oh, give me the 12 with Michigan, but can't do it. Like this, they're going to be in tough. All right, we got Lou in the house with us right now. Lou likes the Denver Broncos in this game. Any thoughts on the Saturday night game, Lou, with the Cardinals and the Rams?
Yeah, I'm going to put myself out there, Gabriel. From the moment I saw this and its total, I see the total there a week ago, 49. It's ticked down a little bit. And for the life of me, I can't figure out how or why. LA's problem is pass defense, and Murray's got a rookie wide receiver, and they're not terrible. Yeah, their running game's gummed up, but they have a little depth at running back. I see points in the game, but again, it's somebody playing for a lot against somebody who we can have it's a hard time putting your finger on where their motivation is. It's not a game I'm looking to bet. I want to bet two teams playing for something if I can find them.
Sunday's football card, Green Bay and Minnesota is one of those games, and Atlanta, Washington, the Sunday nighter. I'm looking forward to that one. Michael Penix, just his second career start, but I don't know, like rookies are kind of different now, and I'm not going to say he's not a rookie because he's a rookie, but he's also 25 years old. He also played in a national championship game last year. He played at Indiana before Washington. He's been around. Like he's a mature person for a 25-year-old. And quite frankly, he's better than Kirk Cousins is. So like even if he makes a mistake or two, there's still more upside with him than there is with Kirk Cousins at quarterback. What are your thoughts on the Falcons and the Commanders, Lou?
Yeah, you're a professional at stealing a lot of my thunder tonight, Gabe, but I love this. I love this Michael Penix guy. I really do. And just like a football team gels and improves the most from game 1 to game 2, that's what's going to happen to this rookie quarterback. Now, I think he has more physical tools than Cousins. He doesn't have this. That said, Cousins is a consummate pro. And he's on the sidelines helping Penix. He is supporting this kid. That's who Kirk Cousins is. And so he's going to have the benefit of his sophomore game in a situation where he's playing a team that's got a worse defense than Cincinnati almost. I really think that this is going to be an opportune time for Atlanta to put points on the board. I see Washington putting points on the board. And this one, I'm not hesitant to advertise the over. In fact, I'm real strong on the over. This is going to be a 3-ring circus, and there is no weather this weekend. Is it raining throughout the East Coast? Yup. But there's no real wind, and there's no real cold, so there's no real weather. If you want wind, you got to go to Jacksonville, and it's been a frustrating season in the NFL for those of us that love inclement weather.
Yeah, there's been like a few snow bubble games, snow globe games, extreme, but other than that, weather hasn't been a factor at all. All right, Lou, time's just flying by tonight. We're jam-packed, so anything else in the NFL? The Packers-Vikings is a meaningful football game. You got the Lions and the Niners on Monday Night Football. Anything else catch your eye in the NFL you're looking at?
I think the Vikings are the most disrespected 14-2 team in the history of the NFL. I think that coach is having an easy time behind the locker room doors motivating that team, and I can't wait for them to get at Green Bay because I think Green Bay is just a touch overhyped. Really good team. Detroit, Green Bay, Vikings, 3 of the top 5 in that division. But the Vikings
I remember we both agreed on liking the Vikings over 6.5 wins this year. That was an easy
As the candles flicker, a new tradition shines. 8 nights of Hanukkah, 8 nights of winning insights.
Like they may come out slow, so you might be able to get a better number. Wow, they're favored.
With SportsGrid, every night is another chance to win.
No pick sixes today, they cover. So let's crunch it up. Let's make it happen. Let's give you our favorite props.
Let your Hanukkah winnings brighten your celebrations. Happy Hanukkah from all of us at SportsGrid.
How do you find some of this great talent that you've brought in, who are still early in their career, might not have a ton of tape on them yet?
I've been around this business, man, for almost 20 years. So a lot of these guys will tell you that I popped into a lot of gyms, sparred, or just worked on the side, or, kind of worked out, just watching. I've always loved this sport, man. I think it's the greatest. And we want to continue to put on the next up-and-coming superstars. We know we got them.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Morency. Thanks to both of our guests, Joe Gibbs as well as Gamblu. We got a jam-packed show tonight. We got a 42-28 football game right now in San Diego at the Holiday Bowl. Nice to see some football in San Diego. Washington State are hanging around in this game, getting 18 points. They're down by 14. It has been a track meet, and the man that joins us right now is definitely probably in the same position that I'm in, wanting more. Rob Bino steps up and in. Rob, how you doing?
More points. Is it, honestly, Gabe, is it ever enough?
Is it ever enough? Never.
We need more points. I actually do have, I got an over 81.5 here, Rob. That's what I'm looking for. I got an over 81.5. And listen, we still have a full quarter of football left. I think we're going to get there. In-game total right now is 84.5. What are your thoughts on this game right now, Rob? 42-28 as the fourth quarter just started.
Yeah, and it's been full of big plays, Gabe. So the total of 84.5 certainly not out of reach. Syracuse, every time they throw the football, you think a big play is going to happen. And Washington State's made a few of their own as well. And Syracuse having a difficult time stopping them for the most part. So I'm glad I made the choice I did. You know, my original bet on this game was the Syracuse team total over 38.5. I kind of isolated it. I was afraid to lay 18 or 19. I was afraid to lay points in the first half. So I avoided side totally. But, you know, this number came through. Syracuse did get there up and over 42. Nice. It's been a great couple of days for overs, Gabe. It's been a great couple of days for overs. Wow.
And Washington State just threw an interception. Syracuse with the pick. Wazoo were moving the football too. This ball was intercepted on the 30-yard line, on about the 28-yard line or so. So Syracuse now get the football back. Still a full quarter of football left. It's 84.5, and the point spread is pretty much where it started at 18.5. Now, I did not play the over. I didn't play the under, Rob, but I didn't play the over, the Texas A&M USC game, because I had my reservations. I could sort of see A&M playing smash mouth football and USC having a hard time like putting points up on the board against that defense and the lack of the skill position players that they lost. But they've made a couple of plays here. Now they're going backwards. What were your thoughts on the Texas A&M USC game?
My thought was Gabe's not playing the full game over, so I'll play it for the both of us. That was my thought. So I have it. I got it at 53 and a half. Boy, it moved during the day, didn't it, Gabe? I mean, it moved quickly. 52, 52 and a half, 53 and a half, 54 and a half, and then 55 a closer. So, a couple of players that maybe weren't expected to play end up in there. But I thought it could get there. I thought that USC's defense probably would bend for the majority of the night. I like the fact that, not to get too in-depth with it, but USC had difficulty with every single dual-threat quarterback they faced. Anybody who had running ability plus throwing ability put up like 29 or more points against this team. So I thought for sure Marcel Reed could do the same. And for the USC side, they may lose players, but they're never void of skill players. And so with A&M losing that entire defensive front, basically the pass rush, the disruption in the backfield, I thought maybe we could get there with the USC side doing enough. So we'll see how it turns out. But right now, that's the last one I'm waiting on here tonight.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, I was thinking that you're right about USC and the skill position players. Like the first time they touched the ball, you saw the kid hurdle someone and return it like 50 yards. So they're always going to have playmakers. So we have a big sort of play here right now. He looked like he was down, so it should just be a sack here, right? And they lost 1 million yards. And in fact, so 2nd and 23 right now. 2nd and 23. So USC starting to go backwards just a little bit. And in fact, they're all the way back on their own 45-yard line right now. So in-game total has fallen to 54.5. Latvia, guys, beat Canada if you're just joining us tonight in the World Junior Championships. And, Rob, there was a money line out there. Canada were 40-1 favorites tonight. They were -7.5. -7.5 goals. This is literally one of the biggest upsets in, hockey history. To put in context, Mike Tyson was a 42-1 favorite against Buster Douglas, which is known as one of the biggest upsets in sports history. Canada were 40-1 on the money line tonight, and they lose 3-2 to Latvia. Wow. Somebody out there. Maybe it's the same person that keeps cashing these no touchdown score props in the NFL games.
$3
guy. Hey, look, guys, I had Latvia money line. Look, Latvia.
$3. Yay.
Look, Cam, there's probably, I guarantee you, there's there's got to be a couple of Latvians in Toronto that bet it.
Yeah. Oh, they're rich now.
It's sort of like people that just blindly bet their country, like when Greece won the Euros. Nobody thought Greece were going to win the Euros. They were 90-1. Every Greek, in North America, put $100 on it. Right. And a bunch of bookies disappeared. They had to move back to Greece and go into hiding.
They did. It's
they didn't have the money. They didn't have the money.
Go back to Athens. Yeah, you're right, Gabe.
It's no, man. I lost. I owe these guys $6 million now.
Exactly. They got smoked.
It's like the time I took that I played bookie. I'll never forget it. It was the Rams and the Patriots. Tom Brady's first Super Bowl. Remember, Rob and Cam? Remember, Rob? The Rams were 14-point favorites in the game.
Yeah.
And I was in a band and I was betting and stuff, and I was at a rock party on Saturday night with a bunch of musicians that weren't really big sport fans. And they were all like, hey, it's the Super Bowl, huh? And they all just got paid a lot of money. So they all had money and they were throwing money around. So they were all coming up to me and they were like, hey, here's $100. Give me the Patriots, the team that's the underdog. I said, plus the points. And they're all like, no, to win the game outright. And 6 or 7 people gave me $600-700, and I'll never forget. I turned around and I looked at someone. I said, "Drinks on me." I said, "I just got a free $700." I went to the bar. I start and I didn't put the bets in. I didn't put the bets in. I'm like, "There's no way in hell." I was like, "No, I'm not putting this." I was like, "I'll be the bookie on this one. I'm keeping the money." And lo and behold, guys, my panic, bro, at halftime. I'm betting halftime. I'm trying to abandon ship and stuff like that. I'm trying to get out of that. So, yeah, crazy things can happen, and it happened tonight. And it almost looked like Washington State were sort of going to hang around tonight for a while too, guys. But we'll see. Syracuse are knocking on the door right now. They get stopped, though. It's a field goal. Looks like we're going to have a fourth down coming up.
Gabe. Like, these guys they're within 14, and, like, they're battling. They got no players. Like, gritty effort by Wazoo. You got to give them credit here.
This will get it up to 17. They got sacked on the third down. I'm on Syracuse, so I'm not giving it up for Wazoo. I'll get it up for Wazoo after Syracuse finish this game off, and hopefully we can get to 81.5, but it's starting to slow down now. 77.5 is the total. So we've got a full slate of bowl games tomorrow, and it starts off at Fenway Park, actually. UConn and North Carolina. North Carolina Tar Heels 2.5-point favors. Total is 53.5. Bill Belichick, of course, taking over the North Carolina Tar Heel program, but surprisingly enough, will not be in attendance at this football game. Freddie Kitchens, former Cleveland Brown head coach, who was pretty incompetent, actually, will be the coach of North Carolina tomorrow. Rob, any opinion on this Fenway Park Bowl game here?
You know, before Belichick was hired, I really thought I was going to be on UConn. Oh, that's
all right, we'll hit this on the other side. Yeah, if there's ever a bunch of kids that know I better play well, and there's a dude.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
Do we have a fantasy star on our hands here, George? Here is the question with Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders. A lot of folks went into the fantasy season saying, hey, look, maybe this isn't Anthony Richardson, but it could be the next best thing. I'm here to tell you, I don't know. I'm sort of feeling like Daniels could be better than Anthony Richardson.
I don't know if I'm going to go there yet, all right, but I think he's in the conversation, yeah. What did we hear at draft time? A lot of people wanted a quarterback who can move. Right? You don't want the guy who's going to take 5-7 steps and throw the football anymore because you want that additional rushing yards. You know, you get 50, 60 yards, that's a touchdown. Right? That's why Josh Allen is so valuable. Lamar Jackson is so valuable. Right? You go up and down. Jalen Hurts. You go up and down here. I think Daniels is going to be a good quarterback. I think Washington got their guy, and he can throw the football too. We know McLaurin's a really good wide receiver. It may not be much else there. We'll see what McCaffrey can be. Luke McCaffrey can be there in time. But, you know, I do have hope for him. I think at season's end, he's going to be a quarterback one. It may be a low-end quarterback one, but a quarterback one nonetheless.
Yeah, I was really impressed watching him in that game. All right, now Anthony Richardson, look, he's going to have a big year. He's going to have a big fantasy year. There's no question about it. I don't know about the long-term viability here. And look, give him credit. He hung in there with the Houston Texans. My fear for him, George, is that when you go back and you watch film, if you protect the deep ball against Richardson, he could hurt you with his legs. And that may be where all of his fantasy value is coming from. I cannot see him throwing 2 70-yard bombs like he did again.
That should come in time, right? Practice time. I think he will get better here. I think Richardson is going to be fine. Does need to learn how to avoid hits. All right. Once again, remember that hit from Tua last night? He initiated it. Slide. The rules are made for you not to get hit. Take advantage of them.
The Friday Night Freak Show continues. This is SportsRage. I am Morency. 45-28 right now, so it's right on the number, depending on when you bet it. Syracuse and Washington State. Syracuse are up 17. In-game total is 80.5 right now. And there's still a lot of time left. There's still 9 minutes left. We'll see if Washington State have one more drive left in them for the cover, or if they turn it over, or Syracuse just put the icing on the cake. One thing you know, Fran Brown would like to cover on the way out here. So Syracuse will try to score, I think, one more time if they can. There's still 9 minutes left in the football game. Texas A&M and USC still 7-0 right now, late in the first quarter of play. But let's keep things rolling. Looking at tomorrow's slate and trickier slate of bowl games tomorrow. We were talking about a lot of these track meets today, and they've been fun football games. But I don't think anybody thinks that UConn and North Carolina is going to end up being a track meet. UConn have been a scrappy team. North Carolina are shorthanded. But you got Belichick coming in, and if there's ever players know that if I want to be on this team next year, Belichick's watching this game, and he's watching the tape of this game. And he's going to, you know what I mean, there's not everyone can stay. So I think the North Carolina Tar Heels do have motivation. And Kitchens as well. It's a unique situation, guys. You don't usually see this, Rob. Kitchens is coaching the game. He's going to be on the staff. Belichick said, yeah, I'm not, they're buddies. Like Belichick said that he's going to be on the staff. So you have another instance. It's almost a continuation here. So with Belichick, and some people are wondering why Belichick's not going. I think he doesn't want to be a distraction and let these kids have their moment before he takes over. But what do you think about that, Rob, with the Kitchens coaching angle here and Belichick overwatching everybody?
Yeah, and maybe Michael Lombardi will be there, right? He's the GM of this team now. So personnel, NIL, he's working all of that with Belichick as well. So I'm with you, Gabe. I feel like it's an audition for these North Carolina players for next year. It's a clean slate, and maybe the young guys can get themselves a little bit of attention from Bill Belichick by having a good game. The other side's going to come to play for sure. Jim Mora Jr. is not going to mess around. He's got a team that likes to run the football. And if they can run it, Gabe, honestly, we've seen this total drop from 56.5 to 53.5. You may be able to squeeze out an under in that particular game played up in Fenway. The weather here is kind of weird. It was ice cold, but now on the weekend, all of a sudden, it's going to be up to the 50s and 60s, but with rain. So we'll see if it rains in Fenway tomorrow. I think I would look North Carolina's way here, though, now that it's less than a field goal, just because of the Belichick effect. Like I said, when this game started, when it first came out, I thought it was going to be on UConn. Not the case anymore.
Boston College are getting 4 against Nebraska at Yankee Stadium. Total is 46.5 in that football game. UL Lafayette and TCU. TCU 10-point favorites, total 59. I guess you could make the argument that the game of the day in the afternoon is Iowa State and Miami, Florida in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Miami, Florida, 4.5-point favorites, total 57.5. Now, that game, Rob, it's hard to ever want to bet an under in a Miami Hurricanes football game. We've seen Iowa State's defense get carved up and play a bunch of track meets down the stretch. This feels like a game at the Pop-Tart Bowl that should open up, shouldn't it?
Totally agree. In fact, I bet it already at 57.5 in fear of this game moving to like 60.5 by tomorrow at kickoff. You know what I mean? Cam Ward didn't really announce until yesterday or late the night before that he was going to play in this game. Waiting on Restrepo. Xavier Restrepo, I think, practiced at all the bowl practices for Miami and Florida, but won't quite commit to playing yet. I think that he probably will in the end. It's funny because Cristobal actually said it's a credit to the team that they have as few opt-outs as they do in this particular game. And Iowa State's got a pair of 1,000-yard receivers. We know Miami's defense is bad. How about this, Gabe? Iowa State, and this is we find this out all the time when we go to do bowl preparation and go through numbers and whatnot, that some of these defensive statistics or even offensive statistics in some cases are so skewed. Iowa State's defense looks real nice statistically, but the pass offenses that they played, 3 of the top 75, 7 ranked 87th or worse. They didn't play anybody who could throw the ball like Miami. So I got to feel like Miami gets theirs. Cam Ward probably to put on a show here. And on the other side, the pair of 1,000-yard receivers for Iowa State, both seniors, went into the portal but decided to play. And I think the same goes for them. They obviously, Rocco Becht and company want to put on a little bit of an offensive show too. And Miami's been more than willing. I think 9 of their 12 games this year went over this particular number of 57.5.
Here's one for you, Cam. Miami, Ohio, and Colorado
State.
It's the lunch pick.
Yeah.
Hey, look at that total, guys. 40 and a half.
Yeah, brutal. I don't know if it's going to get there, Gabe. That's gross.
What do you think of this one, Rob?
Oh, yeah,
Miami,
Gino.
Ohio, Colorado State.
Yeah, steaming dumpster fire.
No, I kind of like Chuck Martin, but I
lean
like him when he's
Colorado
in his own-
State, for the record. I lean Colorado State to win the football game, personally. That total at 40, super low, man. Like, why is it this low, Rob?
Ridiculously low. I mean, well, we saw Miami of Ohio in that MAC championship game. I mean, they couldn't do a single thing against the Ohio U defense. Again, I tend to like Chuck Martin when he's involved with his own league, the MAC. But you start stepping up to the Mountain West, and I don't really care how many opt-outs there might be for Colorado State or absences. Colorado State's just a deeper program, more depth. The MAC is kind of with Conference USA towards the bottom. So athlete for athlete, I think you're probably getting a bargain here with Colorado State plus price. The one thing that scares me a little bit is motivation. These teams that come off of bad conference championship losses have another chance to redeem themselves, and that's the case for Miami of Ohio here. For Colorado State, it was just a lost season. But I think I would side with CSU. Tucson, Arizona, Gabe, it's certainly not a snowstorm there. So being bet down from 43.5 to 40.5 is probably attributed to the lack of Miami, Ohio offense.
It's the Snoop Dogg Gin and Juice Bowl. It's the coolest bowl out there. The Snoop Dogg. And anybody, I retweeted the picture of the end zone. Badass. I don't know if we can get it up quickly enough, but it's like badass end zones. It's Snoop Dogg, like the end zones are Snoop Dogg. Like, it's a super cool field that they have. Should be a fun football game. BYU, Colorado, we got a total of 55.5 there. Louisiana Tech and Army tomorrow night. We'll get some NFL with Rob, too.
As the candles flicker, a new tradition shines. 8 nights of Hanukkah, 8 nights of winning insights.
Like, they may come out slow, so you might be able to get a better number. Wow, they're favored.
With SportsGrid, every night is another chance to win.
No pick sixes today, they cover. So let's crunch it up. Let's make it happen. Let's give you our favorite props.
Let your Hanukkah winnings brighten your celebrations. Happy Hanukkah from all of us at SportsGrid.
How do you find some of this great talent that you've brought in, who are still early in their career, might not have a ton of tape on them yet?
I've been around this business, man, for almost 20 years. So a lot of these guys will tell you that I popped into a lot of gyms, sparred, or just worked on the side, or, kind of worked out, just watching. I've always loved this sport, man. I think it's the greatest. And we want to continue to put on the next up-and-coming superstars. We know we got them.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Morency. Some late drama right now, depending on your number. There were 17s out there earlier in the week. It did close at 18, 45-28 right now. Syracuse are up by 17, and Washington State just missed like a 37-yard field goal, and it wasn't close. So we'll see. Syracuse could potentially just, I don't know if they're going to be throwing a ball down the field, but I wouldn't be surprised if they want one more on the way out, and potentially they can pop one still with 5 minutes left. And you know this, Rob and Cam, but that's what I love about college football, Rob, at least. The NFL, you're kind of screwed, right? Oh, I need 10 points in the last 4 minutes or something.
Yeah.
College football, every couple of games, crazy stuff does happen. Hell, look at the Georgia Tech Vandy game today. They came back from the lightning delay, and they scored 2 quick touchdowns.
Yeah, and where Fran Brown is concerned, Gabe, when I went ahead and took that Syracuse team total over, part of the thinking was, sometimes you worry about these coaches trying to be nice to the coach on the other sidelines, but that guy's never going to see Washington State again, and he's never going to see that skeleton crew of coaches again. So for Fran Brown, whose line was, we don't opt out around here, I felt like he would score till the bitter end, and maybe Syracuse will score again. I don't know that he's going to stop trying.
They'd like to crack 50. They're at 45. Maybe I'm speaking for them, but let's crack 50, guys. If I was on the sideline, let's get to 50.
Maybe I'm speaking for them.
I'm speaking for them. I became wishful thinking. I'm like, yeah, go crack 50, guys. Let's end this with a bang here. One more drive, especially with McCord. I'd say one more drive, guys. It's on the way out here. Let's ice this football game right now. They could pop a long run as well. We sort of skipped over the TCU game. I don't know if you got any thoughts on it, Rob. We got the Miami-Colorado State game. Man, that total's light at 40. I got to bet the over, like you said, in Arizona. Then you got the East Carolina-NC State game. BYU-Colorado should be a fun one. And then nightcap, Louisiana Tech. They were getting like 16.5, 17. I see it down to 14.5 now. And that total's pretty light at 43.5.
Yeah, boy, that's short prep time, right? Marshall bails on the game. Louisiana Tech steps in and takes the game. Army
Great job, Marshall.
Yeah, and we don't have enough players to go. If anybody could have used that complaint, you would have thought it would be Washington State tonight, but Marshall used it. They got out of it. ECU, Gabe, first or second fastest tempo team in the nation. Obviously, when the coach got fired and then they went to the interim head coaches. Now I think the official head coach. They started scoring like crazy all of a sudden. So it wouldn't be surprising to me if ECU and North Carolina State got hooked up in a little bit of an offensive showdown there. Maryland, I think the weather will be okay. But again, there's some rain here in the Mid-Atlantic tomorrow, so we'll see about that. The TCU side, I can't see not betting TCU in that game, honestly. Lafayette, just a team that...
Sorry, Rob. Go, run. Kid on Syracuse just popped one of the 30. Come on, keep running, kid.
Keep running. Hey, the good news is there's still time. They got time to score.
Yeah, and the other thing is too, a field goal gets the cover for everybody. It would give them a 20-point win. So if you lay the 18 or whatever, right, they're up by 17 and they're nearly in field goal range now. But like we said, they look like they're trying to score. They want to score one more. Sorry, Rob, continue.
Yeah, I just saying that at TCU, I can't see taking the ULL side in that game, Gabe. It's a run-oriented team, and TCU, no matter who they put on the field, it's still a Sonny Dykes, air raid system that probably ULL can't keep up with. So I can understand the line move from 8.5 to 10. Yeah, there it is. Fred,
that was not playing any games. I told you. They weren't playing around. They wanted one more. Let's crack 50. Give us one more. Get to 59.
Yeah, come on. 81.5. We can get there. We can do this.
I'm so close now. 51-28. I need a score from Washington State to score.
I got to tell you guys, though, this USC game, I know you and Vino are the president of the over club, but this game, it's going on.
No, I didn't bet the over. I said I was worried that Texas A&M would shut him down.
I took the live under, too. I hit the under in the live under. I just
now watch USC are going to move the ball now.
Sorry, Gabe. Sorry, I got to worry about it. I got to do what I got to do.
All right, so... 52-28 right now. 52-28. 3:23 left. There could be a pick six. Let's get a pick six on the way out.
Just give up a kick return, Gabe. Give up a kick return.
Yeah, I don't know. There's 3:33 left. I think something could still happen. All right, we'll hit the playoffs with Rob, and then we'll get him out of here on the other side. We appreciate it. This is SportsRage.
As the candles flicker, a new tradition shines. 8 nights of Hanukkah, 8 nights of winning insights.
Well, they may come out slow, so you might be able to get a better number. Wow, they're favored.
With SportsGrid, every night is another chance to win.
No pick sixes today, they cover. So let's crunch it up. Let's make it happen. Let's give you our favorite props.
Let your Hanukkah winnings brighten your celebrations. Happy Hanukkah from all of us at SportsGrid.
How do you find some of this great talent that you've brought in, who are still early in their career, might not have a ton of tape on them yet?
I've been around this business, man, for almost 20 years. So a lot of these guys will tell you that I popped into a lot of gyms, sparred or just worked on the side or, kind of worked out, just watching. I've always loved this sport, man. I think it's the greatest. And we want to continue to put on the next up-and-coming superstars. We know we got them.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, 52-28 right now. Washington State got a decent return, actually, and they're at about the 40-yard line right now, so we'll see what happens. They're not going to tap out, and depending on your number, there's a lot at stake right now with Syracuse are now officially up 24, 52-28 on Washington State. Texas A&M were up 7-0, but the USC Trojans have just scored a touchdown. All this talk, Cam, basically, you can blame yourself, Cam, for boasting about the under. Now suddenly it's 7-6.
You are so right. I should just cut my mic, you stupid idiot. The minute you talk, I'm just an
Oh, you guys like the overs, but look at this game. I'm like, yeah, 7-6.
Come on. Play fight out, Greg. We're
that is such a cool move. Like
I'm going A&M. That's why I told you. I said, oh, don't say that. I was on A&M. Lo and behold.
I'm sorry. I'm killing myself.
Total's 51.5 now. It's 51.5.
Yeah. You're helpful.
7-7.
You're helpful.
I might jump in on the over myself now. 51.5.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, trust me. I'm a mush. I'm 11. Just do it. Yeah. I want
to see what happens in the Syracuse game first. But okay. So before we get Tony Finn in and Rob out of here, playoffs. Rob, we got New Year's Eve. And we got Tony Finn on deck here, and I asked Tony if he was going to be in the green room, not to breathe heavy. And he told me, don't worry, I can't breathe heavy. I can barely breathe. So now he's just moving things around instead. Like I should have been more specific of like, don't make any noise.
he's brilliant.
Boise State, Rob, let's blast through these. Boise State and Penn State. They talk about no weather being a factor in this game. I don't see how this game doesn't go over the number, and I like Boise State plus the points in that game. But what are your thoughts on the playoff games?
Yeah, I could put those two together to make it even quicker game because it's kind of the same analysis. I think I could write up the same thing for both of those games, Penn State, Boise State, Texas, Arizona State. I mean, obviously the two defenses, Penn State and Texas, are going to try, 9 in the box to stop Scadaboo in one game, 9 in the box to stop Genty in the other game, see if the quarterbacks can beat them. Penn State, I think if I had my choice of dogs, I would prefer the Boise State side. I think Boise State better defense, and there's always the James Franklin. You know, we got away with it last week because SMU and Kevin Jennings, we talked about it. He gifted us like 21 points last week. I don't think Boise will gift 21 to Penn State here. I think plus 11 looks big in that game. The Texas-Arizona State game, boy, I wonder. You know, Texas is not Iowa State. And Iowa State came out to start that third quarter and turned it over 3 straight times in their own territory that led to 21 points, and that game was basically over. I don't know that Texas will do that here against them. The quarterback play, guys, those 4 teams right there, I'm not a big fan of Drew Aller, not a big fan of Quinn Ewers. Probably like the Arizona State kid better than any of the quarterbacks involved in those games.
That's the one, though, you're right. Texas is so good up front. I could see them slowing down Scottaboo and just sort of wearing Arizona State out. And Sarkisian's been in these situations before. Rose Bowl. Listen, Rose Bowls are always classics. They're generally higher scoring. Last year was a little lower scoring with Michigan and Alabama. But we had a track meet when the Buckeyes and the Ducks played earlier in the year, Rob. I'm going back with the Ducks once again, but I'm a Michigan fan, so take that for whatever it's worth. But I think the Ducks are the best team in college football. So I like the Ducks there, and I like Georgia against Notre Dame. But I do think that the Rose Bowl is going to be a track meet. What are your thoughts on the last two?
Well, I agree with you, Gabe. We saw 33-32 the first time, or 32-31, whatever it was, out in Eugene. 63 points. I heard Ryan Day talking about making adjustments after watching the film. I don't know what he can adjust to stop the Oregon offense. I really don't. They've just got offensive answers for everything you do defensively. So I think they'll move the ball again. The Ohio State side, it's interesting, Gabe. This team goes from a 1-point favorite to a 2.5-point favorite. When you and I talked last week, 80% of the people I had talked to in our industry thought Tennessee could win that game outright. All of a sudden, Ohio State has one good showing against a team with 0 come from behind ability. And now Ohio State's the best thing since sliced bread again. So I don't know if Ohio State, maybe there's too much money on that side. I would probably play Oregon if I had to play a side, but I do like the over. And in the other game, I'm trying to convince myself to get to Notre Dame. I just don't know that the separation. Let me put it this way. In years past, when Notre Dame got to this point, when they played Jamarcus Russell in LSU, when they played Alabama, you always had the feeling, oh, they're going to get crushed by 3 touchdowns because those SEC teams were so good. Georgia's not so good. They were probably better last year than they are this year. 8 overtimes to beat Georgia Tech. It seems to be a team that digs a hole and finds their way out of it. If Riley Leonard gives you a little bit more than what he gave last week, I think Notre Dame can win that game. But you wouldn't take the points in that one. You would just play straight up money line if you like Notre Dame.
Rob Vino, excellent stuff as always, Rob. Thanks a lot for taking the time to be with us. Belated Merry Christmas, early Happy New Year. Always a pleasure, Rob.
Always a pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me. Have a good New Year.
You too, Rob. Rob Vino, excellent breakdowns from Rob Vino. So we're into the final minute and a half here, to be exact, of Syracuse and Washington State. Washington State still with the football. They've got a 3rd and 3 from the Syracuse 37-yard line. The point spread's at stake, depending on what your number was here. And Wazoo just picked up a first down as well. So as I stated, a lot on the line right now in this football game. Tony Finn in the house. And me and Tony saw USC's first game at Allegiant Stadium. And I think it's the first time I've seen Tony since. He got lost in the vast stadium looking for an ATM machine. And now they're playing a 7-7 game against A&M. Cam mushed it. A&M was in control, Tony, and he started talking about how this game was going to go under. Suddenly USC scores the touchdown. We got a 7-7 game there. What do you have, if anything, in this in the Vegas Bowl? And I'm assuming you got something on it. What do you got, Tony?
I do, and I had 4 good tickets to this game. I'm not there. That's another story. What I have in this game is both sides. How about this? How about both sides? Why do I have both sides? Because I had a 14 parlay. This is my 4th leg, and you guys have said it many times. You know me as the hedgehog, so I hedged it. So I'm a winner either way, but I'm not. I had to sacrifice a couple dollars to guarantee the win.
I love it. That's great.
The hedgehog. That's your nickname?
Yeah, I like that.
The hedgehog.
I'll
Washington
hedge
State-
everything and anything.
Washington State nearly just scored a touchdown. They threw it into the end zone on second down, 2nd and 6. They're running out of racetrack, so they got to take shots into the end zone. It was a nice play defensively, but they nearly scored. It's unbelievable, too. I got it over 81.5, and here we sit right now at 80. But I've got Syracuse, so I'm sort of damned if I do, damned if I don't. So Texas A&M guys are now 3.5-point favorites in this game. The in-game total has just fallen to 48.5. And you're saying you got both sides. Cam, and you just have the under of this game, or do you have Texas A&M as
No,
well?
I got Texas. I got Texas A&M. I'm on your side. I have Texas A&M in the under, and I hit the live under, and then they scored a touchdown. So I'll just shut up.
Just so you know, I originally took USC +3. That was the fourth leg. What I did was I came back and played A&M -180. So in truth, guys, I can hit both of these. I can hit both.
So you really are looking in the middle of this. Yeah. A&M right now, we're at -180, -3.5. So it's sort of right where we started. All right. So it's third down right now. They're going deep here. Well, Washington State aren't going away, guys. They just got a first down on like the 10-yard line now. So they're going to have another 4 cracks at the end zone here. Thing is, like they score the touchdown, they cut the lead to 17. Like I said, that was the number originally. It closed at 18. This is like definitely an instance of when you bet it, this game. I've got a 17, so I'm hoping potentially, all right, I'll get the push and I'll hit my in-game over 81.5 in this score. Trying to be positive here.
I had the over at headphone.
As the candles flicker, a new tradition shines. 8 nights of Hanukkah, 8 nights of winning insights.
Like they may come out slow, so you might be able to get a better number. Wow, they're favored.
With SportsGrid, every night is another chance to win.
No pick sixes today, they cover. So let's crunch it up. Let's make it happen. Let's give you our favorite props.
Let your Hanukkah winnings brighten your celebrations. Happy Hanukkah from all of us at SportsGrid.
How do you find some of this great talent that you've brought in, who are still early in their career, might not have a ton of tape on them yet?
I've been around this business, man, for almost 20 years. So a lot of these guys will tell you that I popped into a lot of gyms, sparred, or just worked on the side, or, kind of worked out, just watching. I've always loved this sport, man. I think it's the greatest. And we want to continue to put on the next up-and-coming superstars. We know we got them.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Well, in the words of the late, great Keith Jackson, whoa, Nelly. Washington State just score a late touchdown, 9 seconds left in the football game. They cut the lead to 17, right? That's what it was, and then it went up to 18, so it was when and where did you bet it, and or were you smart enough to buy the points and, buy it down? We bet Kyle McCord over 2.5 touchdown passes at plus money. He's got 5 touchdown passes. I think it's asking a little bit much right now with 5 seconds left to get a touchdown here. So I guess this is it. 52-35 is going to be the final score. We hit the over 81.5. We hit the McCord prop. We hit the LaQuint Allen prop. And we get the push at 17. It could have been worse. I'd rather get the push and a win than a win and a loss. So that's how it just worked out here on the way out. So we'll take it. Now we're on to the USC game. And should be a fun one in Las Vegas here. I don't think it turns into a track meet, guys, but it should be a competitive game all the way through. The USC Trojans were down 7-0 early, but are battling back right now and actually have a 1st and 10 at midfield. Tony, any opinion on the total of this football game? In-game total's 51.5 right now, and USC's offense is playing a little bit better than I thought they were, to be honest with you. So I'm kind of leaning to the in-game over, 48.5 right now.
Well, I wouldn't argue with that. I leaned to the game over. I didn't go there just simply because you guys already discussed some of it, and USC's not there. It's hard to trust them. I'll use that word again. It's hard for me to trust them with their current personnel and who they are moving forward. I think it's going to be difficult. I think with no Pac-12, you have to think about, when they were making that coaching change back, and they let
interception.
The man was. Oh no!
Interception. Really? USC just threw an interception. Yeah, they were moving the ball, but the interception picked off. Texas A&M get the football back.
There we go.
Let's go, Aggies.
I liked A&M early. I liked A&M early this season, and really kind of took put the gears in, but at least put the gear in reverse on them late in the season. Played very little of them. Paid very little attention to them actually late in the season because I was disappointed in how they performed early on.
It just fell all the way to 45.5. I got to be honest, though. I didn't realize there was only 5 minutes left in the half. I thought there was like 7 or 8, even say maybe 8 or 9. I was watching the end of this Washington State game. But, yeah, there's only 5.5 left in the half right now. Big interception, and Texas A&M remain 3.5-point favorites. All right, we went over Saturday's bowl games with Rob Vino. I'll get some of your college thoughts, Tony, here. But NFL football tomorrow, we got a triple header. What do you think about these games? Chargers, I see, are up to 5.5 right now. I already like the Patriots plus 4.5, so I'm going to like them even better at 5.5. I think the Chargers win, but 20-17 or whatever. Like 17, it'll be a close game. Heartbreaking loss for the Patriots, but I think they're going to cover that 5.5. Cincinnati, you're currently laying 3. The total is 50. And the Rams right now, 6.5 and 47.5. Tony, what are your thoughts on the NFL triple header tomorrow?
I wouldn't argue with you on Chargers Patriots. I like this game under the total. Although I really liked our Chargers under late in the season when they started losing some of their key pieces, and Herbert was hurt, or at least supposedly less mobile. Let's say, not that he's any mobile king or anything like that, but I like the Patriots plus the points here and the under. As far as the Cardinals Rams, I like the Rams. I like the way they're playing. I just like. Plus, I've always been a fan of that team and that coach under that offense, and even the disciples that have branched away, from the Rams. As far as Broncos, Bengals, it's really a difficult position for me to take in that game. If I'm going to take one, I'm probably going to be on the Bengals and them just slinging the ball around the field. I think we all can agree that this team isn't going to be a playoff team. I need an awful lot of help, right? So give me the Bengals. Well, I'll take the Patriots and under.
The Bengals need to win this football game. Then they need to beat the Steelers next week, and they need your Kansas City Chiefs to lose to the to beat the Broncos next week. They need the Broncos. Yeah. But the Chiefs won't need the game anymore.
Exactly.
That's
they
the
won't
thing.
need the game. They won't need the game, but it's hard to bet against them. I don't care.
Yeah, man, we'll really take it one game at a time. And don't forget, the Seahawks need the Cardinals. You're right. I'm a big Rams guy. I'm a big McVay guy. I think the Rams are a dangerous team in the playoffs. I wish that the Cardinals didn't have the injuries that they did on their offensive line. But with all that being stated, tomorrow, these are almost like gut picks for me tomorrow in the NFL, where I get the feeling the Cardinals, they're going to run some trick plays. The pressure's on the Rams right now. The Rams might come in a little bit overconfident, thinking, we'll roll Arizona here and we're going to win the division. Rams need this win. If they lose, then suddenly they get the Seattle game. Here's another one. I think the Rams win, but Arizona are going to hang around and cover. And I'm on the Cincinnati Bengals. We'll give our best bets after. But what are your picks here for these 3 games, Cam?
I'm going to take, I agree with Tony on the under in the game. I have a lean to the Chargers, but I don't like the way that line's moving, so I preferred the under in that game. I originally liked Cincinnati. I like the over. I think there's going to be a lot of points, but I'm on Denver. I got the hook at 3.5. I think it's an important hook. I think it's a very close game. I think Bo Nix will be able to do whatever he wants against this Bengals team, and vice versa. The Bengals will be throwing it all over the lot, so I would say over and the dog, and I lean the Cardinals. It's a divisional game. You know what it is? They don't like the Rams. The Rams don't like them. I'm worried about the offensive line injuries, but I will take 6.5, and I think the Rams win a squeaker, but don't cover, Gabe. Those are my picks.
Sunday's card sucks because there's been so many games. There's been so many games throughout the week. Anything on Sunday, Tony? You look at that early card: the Panthers, the Bucks, the Cowboys and Eagles, Colts and Giants, Raiders and Saints, the Jets and Bills. I'm a Bills fan, so I have a reason to watch. But man, there's some bad early football. At least at 4:25, 1:25 West Coast, you get the Packers and Vikings, but. Guys, there's 2 games, late games this week. Dolphins and Browns at 4:05 and Packers and Vikings at 4:25. You like anything on Sunday, Tony?
Quick, I do. I like the Panthers and the points against the Bucks. I've been fading the Bucks lately. It wasn't great last week, but I like the Panthers plus the points. Plus, I like the Panthers. I mean, the Packers in Minnesota, like the Commanders are the only favorite, really, I like on Sunday.
Really? I'm leading with the Falcons. See, we're all over the place. More picks on the other side.
As the candles flicker, a new tradition shines. 8 nights of Hanukkah, 8 nights of winning insights.
They may come out slow, so you might be able to get a better number. Wow, they're favored.
With SportsGrid, every night is another chance to win.
No pick sixes today, they cover. So let's crunch it up. Let's make it happen. Let's give you our favorite props.
Let your Hanukkah winnings brighten your celebrations. Happy Hanukkah from all of us at SportsGrid.
How do you find some of this great talent that you've brought in, who are still early in their career, might not have a ton of tape on them yet?
I've been around this business, man, for almost 20 years. So a lot of these guys will tell you that I popped into a lot of gyms, sparred or just worked on the side or, kind of worked out, just watching. I've always loved this sport, man. I think it's the greatest. And we want to continue to put on the next up-and-coming superstars. We know we got them.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
So the first half continues in Las Vegas, and I had a feeling not to pull the trigger on the over this game. We're waiting for the right time to jump in on the in-game total. It went up to 51.5, down to 45.5. Texas A&M turned the football over again. The USC Trojans. Most of this game, to be honest, you look up and The USC Trojans have the football at midfield, but they get penalties, they go backwards, and it's sort of going back and forth here. They just got a pass interference call against Texas A&M, so it's going to be first down USC on the Texas A&M side of the 50 right now. But the USC Trojans are balling tonight despite being shorthanded against Texas A&M. All right, so I got some NFL best bets, and I use the term loosely. Listen, guys, we all know this. It's like fantasy football. The last weekends of the season are always the most chaotic and unpredictable. You got a million injuries with teams. Teams are just happy to win, not cover. You got teams going to play spoiler. You got some teams going to get lit up and quit. Like, it's all over the place. So this is really tricky, and most of these games suck in the NFL this week too. So, like, we're betting on, like, bad games. But we'll start off with the Chargers and the Patriots. Give me the New England Patriots plus the points. It was 4.5. Now we're getting 5.5, so even better. I'll buy a half point up to 6. I think the Chargers win this game by 3 points. Low scoring. I'm not going to bet the under because it's only 42.5. But I also think that the Patriots are great teaser material. You get the Patriots up to like plus 12.5. Over 43 in a Denver game, or there's a lot of tomorrow's a good teaser day. So you can even tease this game to the under 49.5 with the Patriots plus the points against the Chargers. Cincinnati and Denver, I think it's going to be a track meet, and Cincinnati will outscore Denver, right? Denver are good, but they're not great. Let's not get carried away here. And Cincinnati are smoking hot right now. They had a ton of bad luck to start the season. Now everything is sort of going their way in these football games right now. I don't care about Denver's secondary. They're not going to stop Cincinnati's passing attack. Denver will be able to score on Cincinnati, but I don't think they'll be able to trade touchdowns with a Bengals team that are peaking at a hot time right now. Give me the Bengals. It won't be easy. I would have preferred a money line, but it's 180. I don't go past like 160, so we'll have to deal with the 3, but this is a great teaser game as well. And then gut feel, Arizona Cardinals plus the points tomorrow night. We'll get it up to 7 points. And there should be points in this football game, 30-23 or something like that. It gets into the 50s. Give me the points. I'll have more picks tomorrow for Sunday's games and all that. But as far as the bowl games tomorrow, Tony, what's your best bet for the bowl games tomorrow? We got games all day long. Which ones catch your eye the most?
Well, I do like Boise in this game. I do like, but as much as I like Boise, I like the over in this game. I don't want to say I'm sleeping on the Penn State defense. They rank 37th in rushing success, but they haven't faced the juice that Boise brings on the blue. Give me over Boise and the over in that game. I do also like.
Is it December 30th? I said tomorrow. Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Saturday, December 28th. The bowl game.
I apologize. I thought we were jumping. I've been, you know what I mean? So, absolutely. Do I like anything in particular? Tomorrow, not Tuesday. No, I like Tuesday a heck of a lot better. But if you want to talk about tomorrow, then let's do this. I have one game I really like, one game only, and that is I like Nebraska in the Bronx, in Yankee Stadium against basically a home game for the Boston College Golden Eagles. Give me Nebraska. It's really the one game tomorrow that I'm on. I've already played, and that's what I'm going to stick to. And that is tomorrow's game, isn't it?
Tell me what you like tomorrow. I'll tell you, Boise. The game.
Noon.
I like Boise.
Noon Eastern. Boston.
Noon Eastern.
Yeah, noon Eastern. Boston College of Nebraska from Yankee Stadium.
Yes.
And UConn, we got a couple of baseball stadiums, which should be. I always like the baseball stadium games. UConn and North Carolina from Fenway. I'm going to go with North Carolina. I agree with your Nebraska pick. Listen, it's been forever since they've been in a bowl game. They're going to be super fired up for this. Like the enthusiasm factors through the roof for Nebraska. And quite frankly, they're better than Boston College are. Tomorrow for me, if I'm going to say like best bet, I'll say Iowa State, Miami, Florida over 57.5 in the Pop-Tart Bowl. That's going to be a really fun game. There's going to be a ton of points in that football game. There'll also be a ton of points in the BYU-Colorado game, but look for Colorado to be too athletic for the BYU Cougars. Give me the Colorado Buffaloes in this game. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you on Sunday night. Other than that, you're on your own. Later.